This is Kim from Holland Homes. I am here today with Georgy Bugs, telling you why you should have a licensed termite professional prior to closing on your new home. So today we're going to talk about some things that you definitely need to know, and for sure we're going to follow up on some more detailed information in the next video that Georgy Bugs and I do together.
Yes.
So thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
for
me
having me,
today.
Kim.
So first thing that I want to talk about today is why somebody should have a licensed professional check out their house prior to the closing table.
I would have to say that the primary reason would be because a licensed individual is going to know the lifestyle, biology, and habits of the insect that they identify. So we don't only look for termites, we're looking for all wood-destroying organisms. When and if we come across something such as termites or such as powder post beetles, we'll give you the root cause as to why they're there, how to remediate it, and what should be done moving forward. If you're investing millions of dollars, $500,000, whatever the number is, on Long Island to own a home, you need to know the reasons and the remedy procedure.
Now, you actually came to a listing that I had recently, and the home inspector said that there were termites in the house, and the buyer wanted the remediation done, and then I had you go and check, and you actually, even though they said that there was active evidence of termites, you actually found none.
Correct.
Is this something that happens often?
In many instances, we'll receive a report that states that there's termites or another wood-destroying organism. When we get there, in fact, there isn't that particular insect. It might be a different one. In your instance, it was carpenter ants.
Okay.
And they were trying to remediate termites with respect to the fact that they thought they had them. Unfortunately, they may have been misled, and they did treatments for termites, but it was carpenter ants.
Okay. So let's take a look at this house and the way that it's laid out. Can you give me any information on where there could be a potential problem for termites?
Absolutely. Well, primarily on my initial observation, I would have to say that it's decent because you have a high foundation line, so it's easy for inspection in terms of what could happen on the outside here. The downside to this region is that you're coming into a 90-degree angle, and termites are blind. Therefore, they get funneled into the corners and inside 90-degree angles. So a hot spot would be that location there. And of course, this is a slab portion of home adjacent to an additional slab portion of home. So we have no idea the line between them if there are termites local in that proximity.
Okay. And let's say this house next door has termites, but we don't. Can the termites actually migrate from that home to this home?
Absolutely. The termites that we contend with on the northeast coast are called subterranean termites. These termites live in the soil all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're incapable of living outside of the soil. That's why they encase themselves in shelter tubes, but that'll be on a different video. So yes, they migrate and forage through the soil in a very labyrinth type fashion, and because they're blind, they could hit 2 or 3 structures and feed on all of them at the same time from one localized colony.
Awesome. Let's take a walk. I want you to show me about the proper placement for these pods.
Okay.
Can you tell me, if you decide to do a treatment and you decide to put pods in as part of the termite treatment, is there a way that you calculate how the pods are to be placed around the house?
Absolutely. So it is actually up to the licensed applicator's discretion to place the pods. So every company is going to come in and do a relatively similar concept, we hope. However, people tend to falter, but you're supposed to have your placements within 10 feet of one another around the perimeter of the structure. You don't want to be too close to the foundation because then you're only working with 180 degree, right? Correct?
Right,
so you want to be a certain proximity to the structure, but off enough where you're working in a 360 degree fashion to trap the termites. Ultimately, the stations are placed in areas that we feel are higher or more likely to get termite migration in the soil.
So it could be a possibility that a house that's 100 by 50 could have 20 pods.
Correct. That is correct.
All right. Is the difference of what is charged, does it go against how many pods that you put in, or is it one treatment itself that's combined with
Correct. We may choose to do additional treatments in conjunction with the stations on the exterior perimeter. We can do liquid injection applications, which are not done too frequently any longer, but in some instances where slab is adjacent to slab and the pocket might be colonized below, baiting systems where they're not foraging will not stop or remedy that colony. So sometimes you need to inject into the soil and or use a product called TERMITES Dry if you can get to a physical tunnel that they've made, which is an amazing product. It works very well. So there's a lot to know in that lab.
All right, I can't wait for the next video. So let's take a walk in the house because it is on a slab. So I do want to see what you can tell me about how you would investigate the inside of the
Excellent.
house.
Let's go.
So now we're actually here with this termite professional of the industry, Georgy Bugs. Thank you so much again for explaining all this stuff for me. So we're going to get detailed into now what you're actually looking at when the termite inspectors are coming into the house, the pest control people are coming into the house, what the home inspector should look for. So he's going to break it down for us real nice and easy. And some of this stuff, you know, it's going to definitely surprise you. So what is the difference between what we're looking at in just a regular pest and a termite? Because I know that when I have home inspectors come into the house, you know, and even when I have the listings and the buyers bring their home inspectors into the house, no matter what damage it is, it's a termite.
Correct. Many instances, professionals in the industry will be able to identify the difference between wood-destroying organisms, whereas some people are incapable of, or just don't know yet. And so here's a prime example. Here you have an indication of a sill plate. You have indications in a sill plate, and people call this out as termites on a regular basis. This is carpenter ant damage, and it's very obvious because there's no mud in the galleries within the confines of the structure, within the confines of the wood. Here you have a sill plate. When you open it up, you see that there's powder post beetles. The indications are the powder.
Wow. I
out.
see that all the time when they hit it with the screwdriver.
Correct.
And all this powder comes out and they're like termites.
And then, correct, and it's not termites. The remedy for these insects are all completely different. The procedures that need to be done are completely different. So when the wrong insect's called out, you're not helping your buyer. You need a professional to ID it. This is your typical termite evidence because you have wood and dirt. There you go. This is soil, not powder. It's not the remnants of wood. That is actually soil brought in by the termites into the structure itself.
Termites are always bringing in soil.
Always encased in soil, have to be. They'll die without it. Here you have the indications of termites, and you would never know. It's just a regular parquet wood floor, but you can see that little bulge that you just indicated. And if you were to remove the floor and look underneath it, that bulge is being caused by all the mud that's being dragged in by the subterranean termites. So in many instances, you know, you'll have somebody who has a lack of knowledge on termites, but yet they can identify them. And they'll say, well, if you remove that wooden floor, you've heard it.
Absolutely. Rip up all the floors, put on new floors, and the termites won't have a problem.
Hysterical. Absolutely comical to me. That's not where termites live. That's where termites are eating. That's where they're feeding. Termites are subterranean. They live in the soil below the structure, alongside the foundations, in a labyrinth of tree roots. They're a subterranean insect. They do not live where they eat. This is merely a food source. So removing this wood floor and putting a brand new wood floor does absolutely nothing but feed the termite colony brand new lumber.
All right. So before we talk about the treatment, which we have right here also, what is this? It looks like some sort of a plastic ring.
It is. Okay, so termites feed off of cellulose, and cellulose is the soft material that's between the grain of the lumber. And there are many products that are made that are cellulose based. This happens to be a pool hose, and people
they can eat through a pool hose.
Absolutely all day long because it's a cellulose based product. Same thing with a vacuum cleaner hose. Car tires I've seen fed on. I've seen stored boxes, cardboard boxes, plastic boxes fed on.
Okay, so we have all this stuff here. We know which ones are termite damage. Now to remedy this, of course, you know, I've seen these pods all over. Can you explain to me, maybe tell me what it's doing, how...
Absolutely.
We talked about actually behind the house.
You had asked about strategic placement.
Strategic placement.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so Placing this in a very strategic fashion is the key to gaining success over a termite colony. Now, if you look at the station carefully, you'll see that there's many 90-degree angles.
Yes.
And if you recall what we spoke about, we were talking about the inside 90-degree angles,
Right.
how it entraps the termite to wiggle its way in because they're blind and don't know where they're going. So this is actually acting, if for the lack of a better word, as a net. So when the termites get close to it and they hit it, the edges almost entice it to bring it in. Okay. On the inside of there, in this particular station, which is advanced TBS, you have 2 active stations, okay? Years ago, we used to use a placebo, and then we would replace the placebo with an active pod. It is no longer like that. The stations are now called always active. So when the termites get into the station, and they hop through these holes, and they get into this is condensed cellulose. And in the condensed cellulose is something called a chitin inhibitor. And chitin is the exoskeleton to a termite, the exoskeleton to many insects.
Okay.
So an inhibitor, what happens is they molt like a lobster, termites, on a regular basis. So when they shed their exoskeleton, this inhibits the growth of their new chitin. So it is non-poisonous to humans, yet has a tremendous effect on the termite colonies within.
Okay.
When you get workers bringing that as a food source back down to the colony,
Right.
which is what they do,
Correct.
that conveyor belt concept, they feed the queen feeds the colony, the whole colony gets suppressed.
And this just goes right in the ground, strategically placed around the house.
Approximately 10, 11 feet apart,
Okay.
sometimes 9 or 8 feet apart to gain good coverage.
Okay.
If in an area where you know there's tremendous activity, there's nothing wrong with putting 1, 2, 3, 4 right in a row. Why not gain captivity of that colony?
Of course.
Right?
All right. Well, thank you so much. Anyone who needs somebody to come out, see if they have termites or any other insect for that matter at your house, especially before you're listing, I always recommend for all my sellers to do an inspection of your own house before you list it, just so you know what's happening and what a buyer might see or might not see, and have a heads up so that if they call you out on something and it's not there, you've already done your own
Smartest thing
inspection.
you could do.
So
Smartest thing you
absolutely.
could do.
So thank you so much. George's information will be below in the details of this video, as well as mine. And stay tuned if you want to see more educational videos for buyers, both buyers and sellers. Then please make sure you visit my YouTube channel and you hit the subscribe button and click on notifications to get alerts for the very next videos that are coming up. So all good stuff, and hopefully we can make a future video, and if there's new equipment coming out or anything changes in this industry or other great information, we can get together again.
Whenever you'd like.
All right, awesome.
Thanks again.
Georgy Bugs.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.